It was supposed to be a routine expedition, just another research trip to the Arctic, where the ice stretched endlessly in every direction, silent and unforgiving. The team of 4 scientists, led by Dr. Michael Carter, had spent weeks studying climate change effects in the region, monitoring ice melt and tracking polar wildlife. They were experienced, careful, and well prepared. But nothing could have prepared them for what was about to happen. The storm came out of nowhere. The Arctic was known for unpredictable weather, but this was something else. A blizzard so fierce, it turned the world into a swirling chaos of white. The wind howled like a living thing, tearing at their camp, shaking their equipment, and making even the simplest movement nearly impossible. Their radio was down. The GPS malfunctioned. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Then came the worst part. The ice beneath them groaned. A deep, sickening crack split the air, followed by another. Michael barely had time to shout a warning before the ground lurched beneath their feet. Their world tilted as the ice broke apart, sending equipment, supplies, and even their sleds tumbling into the freezing water. Panic set in. The team scrambled, trying to reach higher ground, but the shifting ice made every step treacherous. One wrong move could mean plunging into the deadly cold below, and then, through the howling wind and blinding snow, Michael saw it. At first, he thought his mind was playing tricks on him. A massive figure moving just beyond the swirling snow. A predator, a polar bear. Even in normal circumstances, such an encounter would be dangerous. But now, trapped on unstable ice, with no weapons, no defense, it was a death sentence. The bear was injured, that much was clear. Its movements were slow, unsteady, its fur matted with blood. It should have been hunting them, but instead it collapsed onto the ice, breathing heavily, its massive body shuddering. For a long moment, neither man nor beast moved. Michael knew what he had to do. Without thinking of the danger, he took a cautious step forward. The others hissed warnings behind him, but he ignored them. The bear's eyes met his, an eerie, intelligent gaze. It wasn't aggression he saw there. It was exhaustion, desperation, a silent plea. Against every instinct, against every rule of survival, Michael knelt beside the creature. What happened next would change everything. Michael's breath was shallow as he reached out a gloved hand. The others behind him stayed frozen in place, their eyes locked on the massive bear lying on the ice. It could lash out at any moment, yet something about the way it lay there, weak, struggling, made Michael push aside his fear. The Arctic was a brutal place, but even here, there were moments when survival wasn't just about instinct. Sometimes it was about trust. The bear let out a low, rumbling sound. Not quite a growl, not quite a whimper. Up close, Michael could see the deep gash running along its shoulder, crusted with frozen blood. Something had attacked it. Another. Bear? A desperate fight over food? Whatever happened, the wound was bad enough to slow the predator down. In this harsh wilderness, an injury like that was a death sentence. Michael swallowed hard. He had no idea what he was doing. He was a scientist, not a vet. But leaving the bear here to suffer felt just as cruel as letting one of his own team members bleed out on the ice. Behind him, Dr. Emily Foster, the team's medical expert, finally found her voice. "Michael, are you insane?" she hissed. "That thing could kill you in seconds." Michael didn't look back. He reached into his pack, pulling out a small emergency kit. His fingers trembled as he pulled off one glove, the cold biting instantly at his skin. Slowly, carefully, he unwrapped a strip of gauze. The bear watched him, breathing heavily. It didn't flinch when he pressed the cloth against its wound. The others whispered furiously behind him, but no one moved to stop him. Time stretched in a strange, surreal way. Michael worked as gently as he could, wiping away frozen blood, trying to cover the gash. He wasn't sure if the bear even understood what he was doing, but it didn't move. Maybe it was too weak. Or maybe, just maybe, it knew he was trying to help. Minutes passed, then an hour. The storm raged around them, snow piling high. They were stranded, no radio, no sleds, and barely enough supplies to last the night. The ice beneath them was unstable, and at any moment, another crack could send them into the freezing ocean. But the bear stayed. That night, they built a makeshift shelter from what little gear they had left. The bear lay a short distance away, its breathing slow but steady. No one slept much. Every few minutes, one of them would glance at the animal, expecting it to rise up, attack, or vanish into the storm. But when morning came, the bear was still there. Emily crouched beside Michael as they watched it. "This is insane," she whispered. "It should have attacked us, or left. Why is it still here?" Michael didn't have an answer. The next few days were a fight for survival. The storm cleared, but their problems had only begun. The nearest research station was over 40 miles away, and their supplies were dwindling fast. They needed to move, but traveling across the ice without sleds was a death wish. Then something even stranger happened. The bear, now strong enough to stand, began walking, not away from them, but ahead, looking back as if waiting. "Michael," said Daniel, the youngest member of the team, his voice unsteady, "I think it wants us to follow." It made no sense. It was a wild animal, a predator. But right now, it was their only chance. With no better plan, they followed. The journey was brutal. The cold gnawed at their bones, hunger clawed at their stomachs. But the bear led them, moving through the ice fields with an instinct they could never match. It found the safest paths, avoided the thinnest ice. At night, it curled up nearby, a silent guardian under the endless Arctic sky. And then, the real danger found them. It started with distant howls, wolves. At first, they thought it was just their minds playing tricks on them, exhaustion creating phantom sounds. But as the night deepened, the howls grew closer, circling them like ghosts in the dark. Emily gripped Michael's arm. "We can't outrun them." The wolves were hungry, desperate, just like everything else in the Arctic. Then the bear moved. It stepped forward, standing between them and the darkness. Its deep growl sent chills down their spines. The first shadow moved, a flash of fur, a pair of glowing eyes. Then another. The pack was testing them, getting closer. Michael's heart pounded. They had no weapons, no defense, but the bear didn't move aside. It stood its ground, muscles tense, eyes locked on the threat, and then the wolves charged. The wolves moved like shadows, their bodies low to the ground, eyes glowing in the dim Arctic light. Their growls vibrated through the ice, a chilling reminder that here, survival was never guaranteed. Michael felt his pulse hammering in his throat. He had seen wolves in the wild before, but never like this. Never as desperate, never as deadly. The first wolf lunged. Before Michael or the others could react, the polar bear roared, a deep, thunderous sound that shook the frozen ground beneath them. In an instant, the bear charged, meeting the wolf midair with a powerful swipe of its paw. The wolf yelped and tumbled to the ice, scrambling back as the bear advanced. The pack hesitated. They had not expected resistance. The bear, despite its injury, was massive, powerful. It stood tall, blocking the team from view, its breath heavy in the cold. Another wolf darted forward, snapping at the bear's flank. With shocking speed, the bear twisted, knocking the wolf away with a single strike. The others backed off, growling, unsure. Then, the alpha stepped forward. Larger than the rest, its fur was streaked with scars, eyes burning with hunger. It circled the bear slowly, measuring, waiting. This wasn't just about food anymore. It was a test. A battle of dominance. Michael held his breath. If the bear lost, they were all dead. The two predators locked eyes. The tension was unbearable. Then, without warning, the alpha lunged. The impact was brutal. The bear roared again, the sound carrying across the frozen wasteland as it met the wolf head-on. Teeth flashed, claws raked against thick fur, the ice beneath them cracking from the force of their struggle. For a terrifying moment, Michael thought the bear would fall. It staggered, its